Well, you have to be concerned because we're going on 5 months now and we're still talking about Andrew Luck not being comfortable and him saying that there's something wrong, he's not right. And then Jim Irsay shed a little more light on it in an interview he did yesterday where he said it's not necessarily the Kevin Durant thing. Yeah. This is more of something to do with the bone, lower legs. So you know what? The whole thing is ambiguous, and we just really don't understand where Andrew Luck is at, what kind of timetable we can have out there so we can expect him back. But
is this, are we having this conversation right now or 2 years ago?
Same
that sounds like a lot of the discussion about his shoulder. And I understand his shoulder is much more detrimental for a quarterback, but a lot of the opaqueness regarding the injury, the timeline of when he would be back, lingering effects. Irsay come out and give an interview that seems to go against. Remember, Irsay a couple of years ago was like, it's mostly between the ears and not. So it feels a little deja vu-ish, even if this isn't obviously the level of concern we had 2 years ago.
No, it does. And this team has done a good job of trying to put players around Andrew Luck to protect him. They were more reliant on the running game than in years past, feeding Marlon Mack, allowing that offense to have a little bit of balance, trying to keep some hits off of Andrew Luck. He was only sacked 18 times last year. That's by far and away the least amount of times he's been sacked in a full season. So they're doing some good things from a personnel standpoint, from an X's and O's standpoint, to try to protect him. But at some point, Andrew Luck has got to be able to get back out there. I mean, you're talking about competing in the AFC South, which is quietly going to be a competitive division this year when you consider the Houston Texans and then the Jacksonville Jaguars getting their quarterback situation fixed with Nick Foles, and then, of course, the Tennessee Titans. I mean, this is not a division where you can afford to give away games. And so when you look at their schedule and how it lays out, 4 out of their first 5 opponents are AFC opponents. So if this is a team that has playoff aspirations, they need Luck to be healthy starting week 1.
And if they want to try to get home field advantage, the only thing stopped them from potentially having that last year was that bad start. Got off to 1-5.
1-5.
And then caught fire. But Andrew Luck, the reason I do have concern, not as concerned as I was with the shoulder, because the shoulder, you guys have to remember, it was part getting hit and a snowboarding incident that he had.
Oh, yeah.
Remember? He kept trying to play with that after he thought he was misdiagnosed by their training staff. Now, the training staff, is that still the same training staff that's involved in his calf? The reason why I'm concerned about the calf was I tore my calf. On this show, I talk about it. That's the reason why I knew about the Kevin Durant thing. Now, in the offseason, typically you try to get everything cleaned up. He talked about getting a scan in April before you start working out with the team. So typically you can take the slow route, not the very aggressive route that doctors have you take during the regular season. So my concern is, even taking this nice and slow, it has not healed up. Now, as far as the calcium deposit on the ankle, that's the same thing that I had. Got calcification around my ankle and ultimately had to have it surgically removed, but I couldn't have it removed until the following off season because, of course, the doctors, they tell you what you can play through it during the regular season. So based on the way they protect the quarterback, the way they run the football, they run a lot of inside zone, they can operate their offense a lot from the shotgun, which would take a lot of pressure off the calf and off the ankle. But you have to have concern when you don't have players who haven't been available for the last 3 months, but a handful of practices, that should cause football fans to be concerned.
All right, so 2 points here. One is on your point about the division. The AFC South for a long time was the worst division in football, or certainly on the short list. They are now the only division in football that in the last 2 years, all 4 teams have made the playoffs. 2 years ago, Jacksonville and Tennessee made the playoffs, and by the way, each won a playoff game. Last year, Houston and Indy replaced them in the playoffs, with Indy and Houston obviously playing each other wild card weekend. So I don't think the top level of that division, unless the Colts are fully functional, is as good as the top level of the other divisions. But we talked about this off the air, I think, a couple weeks ago for your trip, that the basement's actually pretty high there. The worst team in the AFC South could be a 7-win team, unless you think the Titans are going to totally fall off. Now, the other point is this for Luck. First year, second year, third year. Better, better, better. By third year, MVP candidate, 40 touchdowns. They got to the conference championship game. Then he's injured in year 4, misses half the year. In year 5, he plays the entirety of the season except for 1 game, but he clearly is not quite himself. And in year 6, he misses the whole year. Last year, after the first month of the year, looked like the same old Andrew Luck in a good way. Now he's dealing with this. Got to be careful now in what his career actually should be and is going to be. We talked before the show about a name, Dante Culpepper. Dante Culpepper did not have the profile Luck did coming out of college, obviously, and Dante dealt with one devastating injury that changed everything for him. But Dante, first 6 years of his career, was extraordinary. 93 rating, which at the time, very, very good. Almost won league MVP 1 year. Dealt with an injury, was never the same. This isn't quite apples to oranges, but a quarterback that was looking like, oh, he's going to be a top 5 quarterback for a decade plus, we have seen that story change. And for Andrew Luck to now be dealing with a lower body injury where he's not going to be 100% to start the season, if he does start the season, has to be incredibly concerning for fans.
The big difference is Andrew Luck can play the game with his head. And we've seen Drew Brees do it. We've seen Tom Brady do it. And it's different. I know Nick Saban said at that time, if you're going to bet on a quarterback, bet on one with a bad knee compared to a bad shoulder. That's what he did. As long as Andrew Luck can throw the ball, you can put him in the shotgun, and he can operate in this very less than physical NFL that we've seen. So he's playing at the right time, and he can play for a long period of time. I do believe they'll get this cleared up, but he's like a lot of other players. He's going to start the season injured and trying to push himself through it.
Chris Kenny, what is your confidence in Jacoby Brissett?
Oh, I have the utmost confidence in Jacoby Brissett. You got to remember, Jacoby Brissett is a Bill Parcells guy. I mean, he gave the seal of approval, and that's why Bill Belichick went ahead and acquired him, because Jacoby Brissett showed that he had the ability to be able to process the game and play the game. Now, I don't like to throw around the term game manager, but I think Jacoby Brissett is a really good game manager. And so if he's got to step in for any period of time in an absence of Andrew Luck, I feel confident that he'll be able to get the job done. He'll be able to keep the team afloat. But this is a team that's coming into 2019 with championship aspirations. They expect to be in the playoffs. So, I mean, if you're going to be in the playoffs, then you need Andrew Luck to be your quarterback. My thing is this. Go ahead and get the injury cleaned up. Let's put a timeline out there when we can expect him back, and so we can move forward once he's back on the field. The last thing that he can afford is that he comes back and then there's another setback and he's out for any extended period of time.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.